What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. It's Gary, and just in a slightly different spot today. So normally the camera is actually pointed the other direction, but I just decided to point it this direction just for change today. So it's a little bit noisy. I'm hoping it doesn't get picked up too much by the microphone, so we'll have to wait and see. But thank you for tuning back in. To all the new subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing. And let's get into it. So I just wanted to do a what sold video for the month of Feb. It's been a few months since I've done my last what sold video, so I just thought, let's do it. So let's get into it, okay? So I sold this month. I actually sold 3 Guitar Hero guitars. So I sold 2 Guitar Hero Live sets in the box. So that's guitar, USB, dongle, and game for PS4. So I sold 2 of those, and they sold for $1.99 each, including postage. And the most I would have paid for each of those would be $50. I just scour Facebook Marketplace. They come up every so often, and then normally I just jump on it when I see them. One of them was like new in box, had not even been used. Still had the plastic tabs in the guitar. So yeah, and then the other Guitar Hero sale that I had was actually another in box, and it was a very good condition, but this was for Nintendo Wii, and this was a Metallica box set. So it had game for Wii, it had the guitar. The guitar doesn't actually need a dongle. It connects using the Wii remote. You plug the Wii remote in, and then I actually bundled it with 3 other games, and that sold for $159. It took maybe 4 or 5 days to sell. But I love selling Guitar Hero sets. It's good fun. You just test them, make sure they work, but they sell for good money. Next up would be, I sold a pair of Slayer Vans slip-ons, and they actually sold for $160 plus shipping to the US. And I picked those up for $40 at a garage sale. So that was a great pickup. I actually have a few other pairs of Vans which I sold, but I actually sold a pair of Star Wars Vans as well. And they sold for $59 plus ship, I believe. $6 for those. So that was a great pickup as well. Any Vans that you see, I actually tend to not pick them up from op shops because generally they want too much money for them. If you come across them for a good price, they're definitely worth picking up, especially the ones which are kind of a little bit more rare or a little more of a limited edition prints on them. They tend to sell well. Okay, sold a fair bit of music this month as well. So I guess the first one was it was a Michael Jackson double album little box set. And so it had Off the Wall and it had Thriller on CD. So I sold that to somebody. What actually happened was the original CD for Thriller wasn't in very good condition. It was actually scratched, and I have a disc resurfacer. So generally, if discs have scratches and the scratches aren't too bad, then I can recover. I'll resurface a disc and it's almost like new. This was really scratched really badly, couldn't be fixed. So I just threw that away basically. Actually had a 25th anniversary Thriller CD which I had picked up separately. So what I actually did is I replaced the original Thriller CD with this 25th anniversary Thriller, and actually came with a additional DVD which was behind the scenes of the Thriller music video. So I sold that, and I thought, hey, okay, here you go. Surely the person who buys this will be stoked that they get an additional DVD. Oh, was I wrong? So the person that bought it actually messaged me a few days after they received it and said, oh, I wanted the original CD of Thriller. I didn't want this 25th anniversary. It has a couple more tracks on it. I wanted the original album, which is fair enough. And then they said, and I watched the DVD, and the DVD wasn't very good. So I guess the lesson learned from this situation is always make sure that what you're actually posting and you ship to your buyers is exactly the same as what you have listed. So I've actually been caught by this a couple of times. I sold 2 of the same item, but it was a different video game. It was a different box, and so it's the same game obviously, but then I sent it, and then the buyer complained because they said, no, I wanted the other case, and that was the one that you had in the listing, not this one. So yeah, so I guess the tip I can give everyone is just make sure that when you sell an item, it's the same item that has as the pictures in your listing, and that's going to avoid any issues that you have with buyers getting upset because they didn't receive the same item that was in your listing. So I sold a pair of Nike Air Jordan 3s. I actually paid $80 for these at a community sale. So I actually got 2 pairs of shoes. I sold these for $145 plus shipping. So they did take a while to sell. But then the story, I guess, behind this pair of shoes is I actually sold them twice on eBay previously, and both times the buyer just didn't pay. So I accepted an offer from a buyer, and then the buyer just didn't pay. No contact. I think they both had hardly any feedback as well. What do you do? I mean, it was super frustrating. I have it set up in my eBay account to automatically open an unpaid item case after 4 days, and then 4 days later to close that case if the buyer hasn't paid. So I actually went through that process twice. So that was a whole 2 weeks that item was not available to be sold. So it was a little bit frustrating, but glad that it actually sold finally. But that was actually on Depop. That wasn't an eBay sale after all that drama. So yeah, music. I picked up 6 ACDC cassette tapes. Remember cassette tapes? Paid $5 per cassette. Within 48 hours, I'd sold 4 of them for about a profit of $150. So I was pretty happy with that. I actually picked up a couple of other cassette tapes as well. Picked up a couple of Iron Maiden cassette tapes.
Iron Maiden? Excellent!
And they sold as well fairly quickly. So I ended up selling 2 Iron Maidens and 1 ACDC cassette tape to the same person, and he paid $90 for those cassette tapes. So that was a great sale. As well as that, I also sold an ACDC Dirty Deeds Done Cheap CD. That sold for $115, which is amazing. I paid $2 for that CD. But what you need to look out for with the ACDC cassettes, vinyl, and also CDs is the albums that were recorded and it says Albert Productions on it. Those are generally the ones that are worth a bit of money, because Albert Productions was the recording studio in Sydney where those early albums were recorded in the early 80s, late 70s. So when you have a look, if you come across ACDC, if you look and you see there's Albert Productions, generally that's the early 80s, late 70s to mid to late 80s. Those albums are worth money. Obviously, you need to do your research, check the comps for that, but that's just a little tip for ACDC. The Glee collection box set, which is 5 CDs, and I picked that up for $5, and I think that sold for $39. So that was a great kind of pickup, and that sold really quickly as well. There's definitely money to be made in CDs if you can pick them up cheaply. If they're albums or artists that there is some sort of demand for, like hip-hop CDs, old hip-hop from the 90s CDs, people are collecting them again. Maybe they want to start collecting albums that they used to have when they were younger, and so old hip-hop CDs from the 90s are quite in demand, and you can get really good money, especially if you bundle them together. So that's just a tip on CDs. Yeah, metal CDs as well go really well. Deltora Quest, there's 3 sets of these books, and I had all of them complete. That sold for $79. So I think I paid roughly about $2 a book for all of those books, and I picked them up from a couple of different garage sales and also a book sale. Complete all of the series. Okay, so another thing that I actually like selling is vintage paperbacks. If they're themed around like movies from say the 90s or something, I've done really, really well with vintage paperbacks. So I sold one just recently, Macgyver. So anyone that remember Macgyver? That TV show from the 80s. Yeah, so this was a paperback of a Macgyver story. So there you go. And that sold for $39. And also the buyer paid shipping, and that was off to Norway. So I've sold, a number of vintage paperbacks overseas to people in different countries. A lot to do with kind of old kind of movies or old TV series. I've done really well with vintage paperbacks. And also another thing to look out for would be screenplays. So recently I sold a Mad Max screenplay, and that sold for $60. And I actually have a couple of other screenplays. So I have a Reservoir Dogs, and I have Taxi Driver screenplays at the moment, but I'm expecting those to sell. If you can pick those up for a couple of dollars, definitely worth picking up. Eventually they will sell. So I sold a few records. So I sold an INXS album, and that sold for $40 plus shipping. I sold a Grace Jones album, that sold for $35 plus shipping. I sold a Pet Shop Boys album, that sold for $25 plus shipping. I took an offer. Also, I sold a Madonna album, and that sold for $25 plus shipping. So whenever I list vinyl albums, I always list them as good condition, even if they are in a better condition than that. And one of the reasons for that is I want my buyers to just be really stoked with the condition of the records when they get them, and that is part of the reason why I only list them as good, even if they are better condition than that. So that's just a little tip or something that I do. One really popular kind of series of DVDs, which if you find them, which have Ewan Macgregor and Charlie Boorman in. So there's Long Way Round, Long Way Down, Road to Dakar, and a couple of other titles. If you ever see any of those, they're definitely worth picking up. If you can bundle them together, they sell really well. I've sold multiple copies of these, but this month I actually sold one copy of Long Way Round and Long Way Down bundled together. That sold for $39. And then I sold 4 DVDs, including Long Way Round and Long Way Down. That sold for $59. So definitely worth looking for. So I sold sold a Wiggles DVD for $22.95, and then I also sold 2 Wiggles CDs for $39. Wiggles CDs and DVDs, definitely worth picking up. For anyone that doesn't know what that is, they're an Australian kids band that sing songs and stuff. Really popular, bit of a cult following here in Australia, but they're well known everywhere else as well. If you can find the very first CD that they released, the first release on cassette tapes worth $100, so there you go. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in again. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much to the new subscribers to my channel. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do consider subscribing. It's really helping me. I'm really focused on growing my YouTube channel this year. And if you have any suggestions of videos that you'd like me to make, I'm always open. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me a message, send me an email. I will be creating 1 video a week. Really enjoying making videos at the moment. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks, guys.